no lie, would have woke up and like looked at TikTok,
Hmm.
scrolled, probably sent you like five five fucking TikToks, and would have just went about the day, but can't do that shit now. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But first and foremost, want to give you time to introduce yourself to everybody who will be in here. If they not, whatever, they can catch us later. But yeah.
Sure, of course. My name's Diamond. Um, I'm an Aquarius sun, Mercury, Uranus, Neptune, Capricorn rising, Cancer moon. Um, what else can I say about myself? I don't know. I've been studying astrology for like 5 or 6 years now, which seems crazy to say because I think I started in like late 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. That's wild. Cause I think it's like I've looked at stuff on not TikTok, but Twitter, and like all the, oh, it's this, you're this, and like seeing all the little facts and shit, and then getting a book in 2020 and reading it. And I remember talking to you. I was like, I don't know what this means, but here's here's this information. So it's just like, damn, to come along that far to be like, wow, we're here, we're talking, we can talk about this stuff and put understanding to it and talk to people about it. So yeah, that shit's crazy. But wanting to get to talk to you about, like, for one, my friend was in the last live. She's like, yeah, you should come up with a theme song, and I'm just like, I think of like what comes to my mind is like in your element, like a 1980s type of vibe.
Hmm.
I think we're gonna go with that. But yeah, this is in your element, folks. So with that, you have stelliums and Capricorn, not Capricorn, but Aquarius and Pisces. So yeah, with us, we're gonna get into those stelliums, but the first thing we're gonna talk about is Capricorn because we're still in Capricorn season till like on this side of this country till 12 o'clock today, 2, 3 o'clock on that side. So yeah, getting in the backtracking of like Capricorn season and yeah, just like what I got in my notes associated with ambition, responsibility, discipline, structure, planning. But you as a Capricorn rising, how do you see that? Like, how do you go about navigating life?
Well, Capricorn season, I feel like it's not necessarily rough for me, but it's definitely a sobering season for me every year. I feel like I always start off the month like spiraling a little bit, and then I'm like, okay, I need to adjust this here and this here, basically like that archetype of climbing the mountain. I'm like, okay, I'm at my low point right now. Let me see what I need to adjust in my life here to keep going towards where I need to go towards. And then I feel like in Aquarius season, once it hits my stellium, I'm like thriving, or I'm coming up with all these ideas. And then in Pisces season, I start, transmuting those ideas into words.
Oh, that's a cool way to look at it. Cause no, yeah, I don't that, and I feel like that really encapsulates like Aquarius placements with like a perspective and idea. Cause yeah, Capricorn season, like you said, is sobering,
Hmm.
and now being aware of Capricorn season, like where it is for me in the second house, and like we're gonna put an anime perspective to this, to these houses that we're talking about today. So second house, first house, origin story, like think of different settings, think of the Leaf Village, think of Kohana. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce the whole. We are not about to butcher things today, but Pallet Town and Pokemon. What else? Who else like a basic, not a home setting, but it's like memorable settings? I don't know. What do you think of?
Hmm. Let me let me have a moment. Home settings, I don't. Yeah, Peloton is a really good example. It's like very neutral and calm. I think that is a really good example. It's like a liminal space where you can feel safe.
That sounds very Capricorn, right? Just like safe security.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. I was just like having that there. For me, I have it in the second house of just like treasure troves. Like, and you have still in the second house. I have Uranus and Neptune there. So it's just like having Capricorn and understanding cycles now as an adult with finances. Like, hey, these bitches come back around. Like, what do you have to be attentive to have these stable foundations for things to work for you, and be attentive to stuff that can feel like pressure to be moving forward. Like, hey, you got to rush in it. No, you don't. And I'm just like, okay, got to do that. But no, I appreciate that perspective with Capricorn season, and then having that go with Aquarius and into Pisces season. So you brought up like you being a Cancer moon. We're both Cancer moons, and I wanted to ask you like, how is it with having Capricorn rising, first house, seventh house, Cancer moon, feelings, and navigating that and having these big perspectives and wanting to work for the collective, like having innovative ideas for that. How do you navigate that for yourself on a day to day?
For sure. So I think it's definitely tough because with Capricorn placements, you're like very stern and firm. And with that in my first house, I feel like I'm more like that with myself than I am with other people. With Cancer rule in my seventh house, I feel like I'm more nurturing, I'm more graceful with other people, even though I should be more stern in my own eyes. But I feel like Pluto in Capricorn, it was in Capricorn most of my life, but like I feel like that time period really got me to be like, okay, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. Um, and with my Venus in Capricorn too, you don't have to be so strict and picky in your love life or how you go about acquiring my finances. Like I have to have this career, I have to follow this outline. So a lot of Pluto and Capricorn was me just evolving and going through that like, okay, I'm shifting here, I'm shifting here. What lessons am I learning as I keep going through these rapid shifts because of Pluto? So I feel like I've leaned into my Cancer nature more now because I feel like I used to come off very intimidating and mean and just blunt in the past, and now I feel like more people see me as like a mom figure kind of. So I leaned into my moon more, which helps me remediate that Saturn energy in my first house and on my mental and stuff like that. But yeah, being a Capricorn rising is full time job, and I'm the oldest daughter, so it's just like responsibility on top of responsibility. But I have this Aquarius stellium that's like fuck that responsibility, so it's just growing up. But I feel like as I'm growing up and these transits are hitting me, like Aquarius is gonna completely shift my self worth and what I value. On top of just having Pluto in my first house shifting who I am, my self worth in that aspect as well. So I'm definitely interested to see. And with Mars retrograde in my seventh house, I'm definitely reevaluating everything with how I interact with people in my life.
Yeah, and I guess like on top of that, with this full moon that was on the 13th, but they said it's like a lunar, I don't know what they said on TikTok, but a lunar shift where it's been there for like the past 4 days. So that sense of just like releasing for the past 4 days. I don't know if you felt it personally, but collectively, yes. Like we can get into it into yeah, we can get into that later. But yeah, about the fact of like releasing and people feeling the need to release stuff. Yeah, we'll get back to that. But yeah, how do you feel with this? Yeah, how do you feel with that? Like especially with Mars being retrograde in Cancer and it's like reflective in actions. So
I actually have felt surprisingly calm, which I guess to my growth. Because I feel like it's been a couple times where I could have crashed out, and I'm just like, I don't care enough about the situation or the person to even give it my energy. I'm gonna let Mars do what it needs to do on their chart and remediate whatever it's trying to do over here on. But yeah, this lunation, I don't know. I felt surprisingly calm. Usually during my lunar returns, I'm a mess. I'm crying. I'm upset. But I've just been at ease. I'm waiting for Aquarius season. Yeah, I just been cool.
yeah, I would definitely would be with remediation. Like me, I'm just like, there's been some days I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym. But there's been a thought to come past my mind. I'm just like, I don't need to vocalize this. This, I don't need to internalize it, but I also don't need to vocalize it. So let's go kickboxing in the morning so I can just be tired. Just like let it go out that way. So, cause yeah, having it in the eighth house, I promise you, I'm ready for the hoe to move. Like other people's finances, navigating like one on one, and I'm just like, hey, really seeing a TikTok and understanding wealth, what true wealth is, and it's not in this fluctuating number that's associated with a dollar. It's like, you know what? And just seeing all the stuff that's happening in the world, it's like, hey, this shit could be gone. As long as I'm like here, I'm alive, I'm functioning, I know how to navigate the ins and outs of things. Cool. And stuff will be returned to me, especially with Jupiter going through
Mm-hmm.
Cancer. Yes, we're good. But right now, it's like, hey, you know, yeah. But with the full moon, I would say I cried like twice, probably twice. But you know, that's a Cancer moon. It just we cycle.
There's no
It
shame. I cry every day. I just been outside of my regular crying cycle. There was no additional ones.
All right. I think it's just like, oh, also, I think too, having leaky eyes. Like haven't needed to cry so much, but I always like have eyeliner, but it always leaks.
Mhm.
Like, and I think with Mars being in Cancer on top of that, if I'm not crying, it's just like I feel like, damn, like why does it feel like I gotta blink more? It's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, that I'm looking forward to this moving forward because I like when the moon is in Leo. I feel like I find myself being on socials more and wanting to show my face more. But no, no, no. We're looking forward to Aquarius season because for you it's finances,
Mhm.
me it's communication, and with Pluto moving into Aquarius, like, have you noticed? I understand it's like subsurface things initially, and you see it later on. But as someone who's innovative and forward thinking with ideas, have you like picked up on it already in your day to day?
I wouldn't say I've picked up on it yet, outside of stuff that I've already had insight on in my own mind. I'm kind of just letting things go with the flow right now, just because we're going through a lot of rapid changes. Like they did just ban a major app in the U.S. We're about to have a new president, and I don't know what time he gets inaugurated. Not interested. But we're about to have a new presidency. He has a bunch of stuff planned within the first week of his inauguration, so things are about to change rapidly. I mean, I have an idea of what's going to happen. Nothing good. Nothing, I don't want to say necessarily bad, but nothing that's going to look towards progress initially.
Yeah, I don't. I'm just like, really, all the outer planets, and those are collective planets associated with like, hey, stuff that you're not doing, but externally you'll see them. I'm just like, wow, all of them jokers are moving into different signs. And it's just like, as well as we talked about like the sun, Pluto, like literally the sun moving into Aquarius, the sun will be at 0 degrees, Pluto is at 1 degrees, and like it's not everything's not doom and gloom. Like you see the good and you see like the positives and negatives and takeaways and stuff. So the innovative aspects, but I see it as the fact of this, and we're gonna hop onto this topic right now. The fact of TikTok, the honest thing is just like literally the sun moving into the sign of collective communication
Hmm.
and them trying to control collective communication. Like, what is that going to do? That's how are we going to how are you going to cut off people's accesses and sort? And then as a fact of learning in the last couple of days of TikTok, like how beneficial this has been for so many folks. Like so many people have been able to earn an income. So many people have been assisted. Even in, I feel like the capability of holding space. That was something that TikTok allowed people to do is like hold space for yourself, hold space for other people. Like that was something that I saw. And like I greatly appreciated it. Even Like if you needed to cry, you could. You definitely saw like a timeline full of people celebrating life, like people who passed away, people who departed, all that good stuff. But yeah, getting into these charts relative to like the comparison of Instagram and TikTok, seeing that TikTok's chart, like I sent it to you today, this morning. Let me open it up for myself. So we're gonna start with Instagram's chart. So Instagram, if you look at, they gave 2 days. So Instagram, the first day it had it open for everybody to look at it on Apple was October 5th in 2010. But the first post was on July 16th, 2010. And ideally, when you have natal charts, you start from the initiation. And for me, I'm like, all right, cool. We're going to look at the one from July 16th. So, looking back at that, it has this huge stellium in Cancer. It has Saturn, Mars, and Venus in its 10th house, as well as it is a Sag rising. And the crazy part is, it's a Sag rising at the exact same degree that I'm a Sag rising. So I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. But for me, looking at his chart, it's just like that stellium in his 10th house of Virgo and having like this sense of perfection. And Virgo Venus, Venus is aesthetics, beauty, collective, like having the desire. And in the 10th house, it wants to be seen. Like, but when Venus is in Virgo, it's not, doesn't function great. Like it strives for perfection. And ultimately we understand that Virgo, or just like we're not perfect. Like embracing the individualities and the imperfections that you have. So it's just like, all right, cool. With that, we got that. Then we have Mars there, so it's like action, like directedness, like having that capability to put forth what you've put work into. You can showcase that. Then it has Saturn. And Saturn is at the 29th degree, anaretic degree, a degree that is known to be intense, like a culminating karmic degree. And being Saturn and Virgo, it has like this sense of urgency of wanting to have things be perfect. And that's, well, I want to hear your takes on that before we talk about like the nodes and stuff.
Well, from what you described, it sounds basically like the premise of Instagram. You have this um, need to fit this aesthetic or have this perfect layout and outline on there, or you feel like it's not worthy. That's why I feel like the conversation surrounding Twitter likes versus Instagram likes is so funny. It's like they hold Instagram likes hold more social value, and that speaks to that Virgo in the 10th house because that reputation is there. And then, of course, like getting 2 or 3 likes on Twitter, that's like 10,000 likes on Instagram. No, it's just funny. It's just funny, but it's interesting that Instagram has a Virgo 10th house to me.
Yeah. And I'm just like, it's just like, no, I don't think that works for people. And that was something that seeing was on TikTok. It's like, oh, it's not just you posting, you looking good. Like, what was, I saw somebody's post, I literally saw somebody's post today on somebody's Instagram story where it's just like nobody posts their, what is it? Nobody posts their problems, nobody posts their downfalls, their shortcomings. And it's just like, yeah, they don't post it on here, but I promise you, from just New Year's to shit, if we had it today, you could see all the issues, the trials, the tribulations, people, things that people have gone through to get them to where they are. Like some people, and that's the shit we're gonna get. That's the thing that we're gonna get to. Where it's just like showing the successes, some the things that some people didn't make. Like, yeah, we're gonna shift to that, and I feel like with Mars. Mars is this planet of action, drive, motivation, but it's in Cancer, so it doesn't move like direct initially. And with it backtracking now, and with the full moon being the full moon for like the past 4 days, it's just like people like, oh yeah, they use the sound, oh, since we're all gonna die, like I'm gonna share this with you. And sharing some of the most wildest stuff. It's just like, do you not think that people this is an app, yes. But
Hmm.
you're going to have to come back and address some of the stuff that you said. Like, you live off this app. Like, you live life outside of this app. So it's just like, yo, what what's up, bro? Like, that's the stuff that's wild to me. Like, I saw something like, hey, yeah, like we're not related. This was just a contract. And they pulled the contract. I was just like, what?
Yeah, I think that was incredibly foolish. I think any person with the brain knows more than likely TikTok's going to come back. I don't think it's going to be the same as it was before it was banned. Um, I don't know. Something about it, I don't know. It feels Zuckerbergy. I feel like something behind the scenes is going to change the essence of the app. And things like that, where people are on there asking for money or they're sharing their problems, that type of stuff is not going to be as um, accepted openly. More like how it is on Facebook or Twitter. Like if you post your cash app, you a broke ass bitch. As opposed to, being on TikTok, everybody sharing it, like sending love to your family. It's gonna be becoming like a shame type of deal.
Yeah, and that's the part that sucks. It's just like, why people is life. Like, people are real. The perception of people being real. Like, and I think that is where that access for both, it shows up in both their charts, like TikTok as well as Instagram. So we didn't talk about TikTok's chart. So TikTok was founded September 20th, 2016, and it has, like, we don't know the exact time, but with what it has, it gives me the emphasis of having like its sun, Virgo sun, and its 11th house of like networking, like of service. But the thing is, when I think of having like a sun in the 11th house in Virgo, it's like things are in its place. And that was like, it was like a search engine, no lie. Like, when I tell you trying, I was like, if I would have been on TikTok, I could have typed in like TikTok's natal chart or Instagram's natal chart, and somebody would have made a fucking video about it in some way or detail in some sense. So having that sense of its sun in the house of networking, but having that grounded practicality to be flexible with things, because initially when TikTok was founded, it wasn't TikTok, it was Musically. So being able to adapt and adjust to the things that were taking place, but also still being a search engine for people. Like, when I tell you, me moving, it helped me change the way I move. Like, packing, consolidating things, folding stuff in different ways to have more space. That helped me so much, as well as like planning trips. Like, people giving you the real about stuff instead of just seeing like what's on a website. Like, oh, this is nice. Like, no, girl, like this place got roaches. Like, we had to call and do X, Y, and Z. So that's something that people greatly appreciated. So just wanting to see how this transpires. But like I said, these nodes that are taking place, it's the North Node is in Pisces now, and the South Node is in Virgo. So with that for you, and we'll get back to them because that's more collective, but this is more personal. How is that you see that showing up for you in your chart? And what do you see that playing out for like the next year and some change? Because it's more so like the eclipses, they'll be in like I want to say a focus, putting these houses of focus for you for like the next year and a half to like 2027. So seeing how that goes for you.
Yeah, so it'll be my nodal reversal. My natal north node is in Virgo in my ninth house, and then my third house, south node, is in Pisces. So for me personally, I feel like this nodal reversal and then nodal return is going to be more so about me being more communicative with my ideas as opposed to being more far fetched with them, like those nine house ideas of being foreign land. So I feel like as a North Node in Virgo, it's my not weakness, but I feel like I can be overcritical. I have all these grandiose ideas. I want to go off and do all these grandiose things in other places, but I never fully communicate them with my South Node in Pisces, so I never really reach where I want to go. So I think it's just about me letting go of those far-fetched ideas and actually cementing things by communication with Pisces going into my third house and my Jupiter there. So it's just going to be expansion in that matter. And my Mars, so taking more action there as well.
Okay. And just to give clarifications for folks who are watching who don't know what a nodal reversals are, because we can talk about astrology terms all day and people just be like, why are we here? But nodal reversal, ideally, like I said, when your north node is the reverse of what is currently transiting, and that gives you the opportunity, like, hey, you have some skill sets you came in here with. Are you utilizing them? Are you putting them to the test? Can you see a way that you can navigate them in some different way or form to make them work for you? And yes, it is an experience. As somebody who had like in 2020, the North Node was in Gemini and the South Node was in Sagittarius. My North Node is in Sagittarius and my South Node is in Gemini. So that was definitely a focal point of just like, hey, are you really navigating the sense of navigating your journey, expanding yourself with the tools that you're given, as well as like being able to engage in relationships with people? And I'm just like, no lie, I have felt like imposter syndrome. Like, am I knowledgeable? Do I have the capability to be able to showcase and share information with people how I want to? And do I feel like I'm dependent on folks? No. Like, yeah, it's just like, hey, being able to reflect and navigate that's of importance. So, with having nodal reversals and when them jokers hit things, they are they are intense. Like they say, nodes. The node points are like supercharged moons on steroids. So whatever they hit, they hit. And given like a crash course in nodes, everybody has nodes. There are 2 points in your chart. The north node that you're born with, hey, it's kind of like a challenge to move towards those, but it's beneficial once you move towards them. The south node is like, hey, you come in, you came into this lifetime with these skill sets, you're able to navigate them, do whoop de woo. But where there is comfort, there's also stagnancy and the lack of growth. So you want to be able to find a balance between these two, be able to utilize what you came in with the south node to help you build towards your north node. So that's that. But then you also have like the ones that are moving around as the planets are moving around day to day. So south node, that is transiting, it's like a purging, releasing of things in that area of your chart. And the north node is like, hey, this is a focal point. This kind of things you might want to focus on moving forward towards. And yes, as somebody who's like the South Node go through Scorpio on top of their Mars, that is one of just like, hey, health. Be attentive to your health. And I say that with just the nodes being in Virgo and Pisces in general, health matters are very important. Like, if you put it in a modern astrology where the planet or signs are associated with parts of the body, Virgo is associated with the intestinal tract and Pisces is associated with the feet. So really seeing those be a focal points and like stress, a lot of people when they're stressed out, you can see that show up in their intestines. Like even with cancer placements, like having intestinal issues. I'm not gonna hold you. Like when Mars moves back into Cancer, bruh, it was not fun at all. So having that like importance of yeah, being on top of what is navigating, like really letting go of overprotection, overworking, like really having to have those details, having their ducks in a row, and wherever it is for you, like, and in Pisces, really trusting the flow of time with things, and with that in your third house of communication, just like, hey, the travel. How do you feel about travel?
I love to travel. I think with my oh Jesus, my north node in the ninth house definitely gives me an affliction to travel, and then having the third house stellium, absolutely, I love to travel. That's something I found helps me remediate my Saturn in my fourth house because I feel like I can start getting overwhelmed and start really feeling those restrictions weighing in when I'm in my home or what I consider my home for too long. So I have to get out to like take a mental break and then I can come back and just reassess and re put myself into where I need to be to fix my home life.
That is dope ways to put it. And with you being a Capricorn rising, and we didn't get into talking about Saturn yet, but with being Capricorn rising, looking to where Saturn is located in your chart, Saturn is in, like you said, your fourth house of home, family, roots, how you go about, how you are when you're not in front of people on a stage. So that is cool to be able, it's cool to receive that information from your perspective, but also seeing how you remediate that. And with how was it with the North Node going through Aries at that point in time?
Well, right before it changed in signs, my home life completely shifted because I went from living with somebody for a long period of time to living on my own for the first time, basically ever. Because I went from living with my family, then I went to college, I had a roommate. Then when I got out of college, I moved in with my partner at the time, and then this was really my first time period living on my own alone. So just uh, coming to terms with that for one, and then just adjusting to my new home life. Like, what do I want my home to look like? Outside of what it used to be. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what that transit pretty much was for me. Um, and Libra, where is Libra? Libra is in my house, so that was really just letting go of the need to be diplomatic all the time. I feel like I was an overly diplomatic person. Like I don't want to cause any problems, especially with my Pisces Mars. I'm already averse to actually dealing with conflict. But I felt like I had gotten too diplomatic and was letting my values, because my 10th house is trying in my second house because it's Aquarius, but I was letting my morals and self values be misaligned because I wanted to appeal to other people. So I was like, I gotta let that go.
Mm. And that makes me think of, and what you just stated, it makes me think of this book. Where is this book? I don't think I have. What was the book on for? But it's an astrology book. And ideally, when it came to me writing down notes about Aquarius, it stated that one thing of concern is like, hey, really having to have this strong fortress of your ideals and values, and what it counted as spies were like family, and that they can love you but they don't see your perspective. Love can't really put your perspective, and wanting you to be able to confine and be molded into this space, and it's just like you have to be able to understand what that is for yourself, but be able to be willing to break people's hearts to have your sense of freedom for yourself. How,
Absolutely.
yeah, like that. That is definitely like reflective. For I see that as a reflective aspect of just like for Aquarius, and for me personally, I come from like two generations of Aquarius. My granny's an Aquarius, my mom was an Aquarius, my stepdad's an Aquarius, my dad's Aquarius. So it's just like, and also having Saturn in Aquarius, so limiting, like I don't know, I want to say my idea or understanding of Aquarius have gotten better with time,
Mhm.
and that Saturn perspective of time being there. And it's just like, wow, being able to see that like idea in real time and just like think back to stories that I was told, and it's like, wow, okay, like different, like black sheeps, but individuals who have these ideas, but you want them to be for the collective. And no lie, I see like having Aquarius in the third house, these ideas that I have, or like these utopias or things that I can think of, it could potentially be limiting in some way for somebody else. Like, ooh, you could be like this in my mind, like greatness for you is this, but in that sense of greatness, for it to be reality, so many things would have to be sacrificed for that individual to be that. So it's just like, huh, okay. So yeah, like being able to tap into that innovative ideas, but also having that sense of practicality. I'm not gonna hold you, like my chart being made up of primarily air and water placements, I find myself around a lot of earth placements. Like, hey girl, come down, bring your ass back down. Like, we need you grounded. You're here. We love you, but
Mhm.
hey, come here. So yeah, that I'm glad to see that getting older and getting past the Saturn return. So I believe it will be better for you. I believe it will. Like having all those placements in Saturn, as well as like Saturn moving through Aries, it'll be good.
For sure. I feel like I'm very well acquainted with Saturn. I'm not really especially worried about my Saturn return, especially because it's in the fourth house. I feel like it could be somewhere else worse. Um, it's not the greatest. I feel like for childhood, Saturn in the fourth house is not the greatest because it's that friction with authority figures and establishing your own self authority. But I don't want to call any placement bad, but I feel like it could be somewhere a lot worse.
Hmm.
So I feel like I'm already, my Saturn is sextile my Aquarius placement. So I feel like a lot of that energy has already been present in my life. So I feel like once it finally gets here, I'm going to have a solution for what I need with that Aquarius foresight, and that should be fun.
Mm. Oh, yes. And while I think that's definitely like, yeah, either like ADHD in me while you were talking, it's like, oh, like how is this like with having having Pluto go through Aquarius, like, yeah, that's second house, but how is it with like Leo and your eighth house of like other people's finances and interacting with them and like taking your values of what you like, all right, we have this agreement set up in the seventh house and navigating it that way.
Yeah, that my eighth house Leo is probably one of my. I don't even have any planets there, but I feel like it's one of my toughest placements in my chart because I have this innate want as a Aquarius to want to be like. Not that I want to be famous or at the forefront, but I want to have influence. I want to, um, you know, be some. So I feel shame around uh, flamboyancy or wanting to be out in the public. So it's just like Jesus Christ, how I'm gonna do what I want to do until I remediate this eighth house issue. My Lilith is also in my eighth house and my pot of fortune. So it's just like Jesus Christ. But I really haven't experienced any eighth house events that I can recall related to Leo. I'm sure they're on the way with Pluto and Aquarius because they're going to be opposite now. So I'm wondering, hopefully, it helps me transmute that innate Aquarian like isolation, detachment, and helps me overcome that so that I can shine my ideas in that Leo fashion like I want to. I think the axis of Leo and Aquarius is so interesting because it feels like Aquarius, yes, it's for the people, and Leo is, I don't want to say Leo is more individualistic, but they are a more selfish sign, not in a bad way. I feel like more people should be like Leos when it comes to accepting their authenticity and their place in the world. But I feel like Aquarius is more, I feel like a lot of people say Aquarius is the Virgo of the winter season or the Virgo air sign. So I feel like we're a lot more meticulous, where Leo isn't afraid to just put themselves out there because they are them. So we spend a lot more time just in our minds going over stuff instead of actually putting out the product. And I feel like Leos could benefit from maybe mulling over things a little bit more the way Aquarius does before they do certain things. But yeah, that axis is something that I definitely want to work on remediating for myself because it's definitely something that I find difficult in my chart.
Yeah. Uh, it, that axis is very interesting because for me, after hearing it on Twitter, Leos need cheerleaders. Like they they are cheerleaders for others. Can put out the light or see the light for other people, but they also need people to pour into them. And having that or seeing that in real time, like with Leo placements, like people who have Leo moons really needing that like being spoken into, and it's just like, wow, okay. And seeing that okay, so example of seeing that in real time was watching the Meg Thee Stallion documentary, and like she had that with her mama, like you could see that, and throughout the documentary seeing like, oh, am I pretty, is this cute, and I'm like, girl, you are beautiful, like seeing that through the video, I'm just like, but she can't hear that, but the people around, she was looking for that for the people around her, And that axis of Leo and Aquarius is like friends, like unity and group, and having that capability of people pouring into you and being able to be poured back into simultaneously. And it's just like seeing that in real time is something, for one, appreciative for somebody learning astrology, but also like, hey, being able to help understand people who have those placements. Like, if somebody who has an Aquarius moon is like, all right, cool, you're not detached, you're not like you have emotions, but it's like you're trying to see it in a practical sense. Where I'm just like, we in the throes of it. Like, I don't know when you gonna feel this, but yeah. And then that's also too, I think of like a metaphor in real time. I have this 5 gallon thing of water. Like, I go fill it up to get water. And like, Aquarius is a water bearer. And you think of like emotions and having to pour over emotions into another container, like pour water into another container, and having to get that fixed like position, keeping it in a fixed position, but still having to make sure like emotions aren't teetering. That could like really and physically putting strain on one's body. And I'm just like, that shit hurts.
Mhm.
Like, and having that in relation to like the actual physical body of Aquarius, like, hey, needing to be able to process it, but even so, like, that's showing up in some way, shape, or form, like relative to heart. And that is the modern astrology for Leo is associated with the heart. So it's just like navigating those emotions, but still being able to have some feel towards them so they don't become internalized. And I understand it's like, hey, you said the same thing for Capricorn placements in the last video, but it's just like, it's important to
Mhm.
not have this stuff. Like, I see health being of prominence with Virgo Pisces axis, but really seeing that to the forefront for helping people. It's like, hey, telling you this to help you. It's like, be attentive. But I want to know your ideas of that, like your take.
Yeah, the health axis. So obviously, Virgo's going to be more of our physicality, and Pisces is the subconscious mind. Um, well, we can already see where Virgo is going with for the South Node. We're seeing more health crises, more dairy plantations. Lord, dairy farms closing down. Dairy farms closing down in Georgia, poultry plants closing down in Georgia. We just, as soon as the South Node shifted over, I feel like I just saw an explosion of stuff on my timeline about bird flu. Obviously, that's been going on, but I feel it's just been a shift towards sickness coming more to the forefront. And I feel like with the past transit with the nodes, we've been more focused on self, and with Libra and Aries, and now it's like everything that we've been ignoring since COVID is coming back to the forefront. These bad practices put in place by the government. So now our food is fucked up and poisoned and not right. So that's just on the other hand, while Pisces is above us, like, okay, we need to focus on our own mental health and things of that nature. So I feel like this time period globally is just going to be about us fortifying our mental health, um, our beliefs, our spirituality, our faith. And then once it shifts back into that Virgo Pisces axis with Virgo as the North Node, we're going to have to come to terms with the mess that's been made over the course of time. But we'll have that fortification with our mental health to be able to make it past whatever Virgo North Node is going to bring. Because I'm sure there's going to be some type of other pandemic. I don't know. I just feel it building up because it's like more and more wildfire stuff like that. We're going to go into a time period where we're going to mask again, probably more heavily so, wear more PPE than we had to during COVID times. That's just what I see coming up for the North Node and Virgo. So I feel like now is a good time to just fortify yourself, find something to believe in, join a community network with Pluto and Aquarius that you can build a community with and sustain while we go through these changes. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. That's what my Aquarius foresight is seeing in the future.
Yeah, and the thing is that so many people, like historians, sociologists, who have like studied prior history, and then people like astrologists, like watching the astrology podcast, who see like the different points in history where these planets were in different placements, and they're coming back to the same points in time, and like hey, like people have read this, like literally showing like the 5 ways people have went into depression in previous times and how it's a parallel to what is happening now. And it's just like this stuff can be avoided. Like I feel like it's honestly could be avoided. Like that is something that with having foresight, with being able to review and see documented history and takes that have been put out and been re-recorded, reassessed, perspectives applied, this could be things that take place to be avoided. But I'm just like, hey, and some of those takes have been put on the astrology podcast. Like things have to get, as people said, things have to get worse before they get better. But it's like, yeah, finding practices that you can navigate for yourself on the daily, to be within groups, to have you be good, it helps so much. Because the solo dolo, like I can see that now. Like it's like, dang, it's nice to have somebody like around to be able to help you to do this, this, and this to help you do that. It's just like being in a group setting is pretty dope. So, yes, this has been cool. I appreciate this. And then now we've tried to keep it to anime references, but I know we've definitely like spanned away from that. But we're gonna go back to this and get back to like anime. So with it being Capricorn season, like the last few hours of Capricorn season, what's some anime characters you associate with Capricorn, and what are some like you associate with Aquarius?
I'm gonna start with Aquarius first because I was thinking about this last night. But I was thinking about Eisen from Blue, how negative aspects of Aquariuses. I feel like a lot of Aquariuses can get caught on certainty, like they have the solution to the problem, as opposed to coming together as an Aquarius should with a collective to come up with a solution for a problem. With Eisen, he thought he was so right about everything, and things had to go his way in order for the Soul Society to be as it should be in his terms, as opposed to working out with the captains and all the other inhabitants of the Soul Society, like make this better for us all, so that there's not two opposing sides battling each other in a place that we're supposed to be sharing. But he was just like, shit, fuck it. I got an idea. Fucked it up for almost fucked it up for everybody. So who else? Lelouch from Code Geass too. He's very Aquarian to me as well. Um,
Lelouch?
if I had to think of a Capricorn, uh, I I think Gojo is a Capricorn mechanically, but he's very Capricorn to me as well. Very self confident, sure, but secretly nurturing and wanting to help people get up to their level. Um,
Really?
who else? Maybe Sakamoto from Sakamoto days too. He has that very stoic, sure of himself, but he cares about his family and Shin and the other characters.
Yeah, I can definitely see that one. Like, what was it? I'm reading the manga and I'm not going to get into the depth, but I'm definitely at the era or the arc where it's like, hey, people have like made a list or a hit, and just like a lot of people make lists of hits in there, so they ain't gonna do nothing. So I'm not trying to spoil things for people so they can go about their business. Um, those are some good ones. No lie with Gojo. I think he's a Sag. Like they have him
I
listed as a Sag.
December. I couldn't remember what day it was.
But that is a good point. Like man was out there, but then he cared for folks. Also, too, the like for me, Saturn, I think in general just Saturn, things get better with time, but I also associate Saturn like Benjamin Button.
Mm-hmm.
Like things, hey, old ass people when babies.
Mm-hmm.
But get older, like not childish, but having that childlike aura to them, being able to capable like, hey, reaching that. How is that with like how you feel about that? Like I know I didn't jump back to this. I'm gonna give my anime placements too and why later, but I wanted to get that because that just came to my mind.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. December 7th. Appreciate it. Okay.
For that, I feel like that's a good characterization of people with Saturn placements or who are Saturn ruled. I feel like because they live under such harsh restrictions as a child, when they get older, they're able to live more authentically because they're like, okay, I've already been through these trials. I want to be 100% me all the time. I feel like with other placements or people that haven't been through Saturn, they start experiencing that stoicism and the restrictions later on in life.
Mm, okay. Cause yeah, like I see Capricorn and Aquarius placements when y'all celebrate, like nah, y'all going out. Like it's all the way out. Like we ain't stopping. It's like, oh shit. Like, all right, okay. So like I enjoy Capricorn and Aquarius placements. Like can have a ball, a good ass time. I don't know why people just like I don't like them. They just like, no, y'all just don't understand their humor. This shit is like, what is it? Dude from the astrology podcast, anytime he's like, okay, like, yeah, sure. Just like I get it. Like transitions, not that great. I feel you 100%. So getting back to like anime for Capricorn, I think of what is it? Dude from Bungo Stray Dogs. I have my note card. I ain't about to walk over there and get it. But the guy, I can't think of his name. Damn. But his power was relative to money. And that's very materialistic. I can't think of his name. But yeah, like him. You know who I'm talking about, but I can't think of that man's name. It's something related to a book. So it's just like, damn. But ideally relative to funds, being able to coerce and communicate, like just off of handshakes, like, look, I got you, and then he'd be powered up from that. So really overcoming like those things. He went down to like a very small amount and utilized like the ring that his wife gave him to like make a punch or something. I can't remember. It's been a minute since I read that arc. But him. And for Aquarius, I think of what is I hate the Psyche. Okay, that's
Mhm.
what for Aquarius. Like using powers relative to the mind, like doing things like ideally all of his stuff is for other people. Like he's not doing he does like few things for himself, but that mostly is for other people. And for the people but not for the people. Like man would really like to be alone if he could, but people find him regardless. And I think that's funny because like they have him listed as a Leo. So really displaying those Aquarian aspects, but also having that Leo mentality, just like, hey, having a heart for his friends and his family and stuff. So that is what I have for those placements or for those signs. But now this has been cool. Like it's been dope to be able to talk to you and learn about like Capricorn, Aquarius, as well as going into Pisces. And it'll be something to see and keep in touch with too. It might be like a Cancer Moon episode, just like talking about that because yeah, yeah, that just feels
That's good with the North Node trying our moons. I think that's definitely something we should look into.
that is God. That's just that just feels so. Yeah, it. Oh God, I just want Mars to move. That is honest, honest. Like I really go back into my ninth house. I'm up for traveling. Like that is fun.
I feel like
December
every
4th.
placement has some type of interaction right now, and I'm tired. I'm so
What
tired.
with this placement?
Well, my Mars and my Pisces stellium is trying with the Mars retrograde right now, and my moon, and then Pluto's in my second house, trining all my air placements. I'm just like, oh my god, enough.
Right. I really just want Mars to like, hey, please move forward. It's trying my Mars that's in the 12th house of mental, like having four placements in 12th house in Scorpio. On top of that, we're going to get back to this Instagram thing. With being a Sag rising and having a 12th house in Scorpio, it really showcases like people just watching. and then they act upon watching like outside the app. Like that really showcases Instagram on top. Like people just watch. Like folks will just watch for days, not liking, not interacting. But they will tell you outside this app, like, oh, I saw your video. Like I saw you do that. I was like, okay, appreciate you. Thanks. So yeah, it's that. But no, it's the house of mental activity and have the sun, Mars, Mercury retrograde, and Pluto there trying Mars in the eighth house of other people's finances and interactions and inheritances. I'm just like, I just really want you to move. Like you can be square, we can cause some tension with travel, like cool, whatever, but I need you to go. So yeah, we can talk definitely about moon, like Cancer moon and stuff. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about?
Hmm.
We didn't talk about Drake and Kendrick Lamar.
Jesus. Yeah, Drake is going through it. That Mars retrograde is eating his ass up.
That is beating his ass. Like I'm just like, as it's something to observe astrology, and they say if you want to see astrology in real time, look at
Mhm.
celebrities, and it's like, damn, bro. Like for one, as one who has a stellium in Scorpio, and him being a Leo rising and having a stellium in Scorpio in his fourth house, like that, not like us. That shit, that
Rock to
little,
him.
that shit hurt. That
That some real bad.
that is nah. So, and then the observation of him filing a lawsuit against UMG during like literally the day that Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius happened or started, then backtracking on that and then going back to say it's defamation. It was just like,
Yeah, he has a long road ahead. Pluto's transiting his seventh house now, so he gonna have to get it in order, or it's gonna be over for
I
him.
on it like he it's just like, look, bro, I liked your music in the past when you came up, so far gone, like thank me later. What is it? Marvin's Room? Was that what it was called?
That's on Take Care.
Take Care. Take Care was 2020. Like that was senior year of high school, bro. Like that was it. But yeah, it just I don't know. It didn't sound the same after Scorpion, and even then, it's like having that external impact of just like beef.
Hmm.
That's when like the whole Pusha T thing came into play. Like that's when the like you could see the shake up in his music. Like he let it. He ain't grow off of it. Like he ain't feed into it. Like oh okay, bet I'm
Hmm.
to show you that I'm harder than you. And it's just like, nah, bro, we like your music. We like your Venus, your Venus and Scorpio retrograde, never getting folks and being in the depths of your feelings music. Like, nigga, I like that. Like that's
He
that
gets
shit
it.
is nice.
No, his music
Like
connected with me so heavily because we were both Cancer moons. I'm like, how do you know what I've been
like
through?
bro, I can fucking remember in 10th grade, brand new. Like I was in chemistry class, I fucking cried. I'm just like, oh my god, how do you know? Like, oh my gosh. Like
As a Cancer moon, I feel like we have such great intuition, and I feel like he didn't see any of this coming. I'm like, how can't you? I don't know. He just grew cornier and cornier, and eventually somebody was gonna call it out.
some somebody was like, it's so many things, so many things. The thing it's not what sent me, but where I'm just like, yo, are you rocking a Smino hairstyle?
No, that was nasty work. See, that's the thing. He's just Leo rising, and you're trying to copy other people. That's gonna be adverse to who you even are at your core.
And I'm just like, bro, no. Like I ain't gonna hold you. Controller off views, that was, but didn't he backtracked on something with Controller? Like some people really
He
don't fuck with him because he
stopped some people that were on there. There was some artists that were on there originally. I can't
yeah, like
remember.
I don't even know what the background, but no, the original with them on it, it was dope. It was fire. But yeah, it's not to be a Drake bashing because the man cannot say that he's not creative. But when he's creative and wanting to dabble into other people's genres, he does that. But you ain't gotta like embody it. Like we got you. We feel you. But be you. Be you, bro. And it we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see how it goes. I feel like if he really like lay low for a little bit, lean into the Scorpio side, like come back, write some stuff out.
I was gonna say with Jupiter and Cancer, he might. I don't know. If he's smart, that artistry, and you channel that energy from the expansion of his moon into his work. But again, again, I don't think he's smart at this point.
Honestly, we'll have to see because that North Node and eighth house, like you see an example of Leo risings who are benefiting from this, as well as Leo risings who aren't. Because and I love that we can talk about this because I can't talk about this with a lot of people. So it's just like example, Tyler the Creator, like he has like the mutual reception taking place. So he has his Jupiter in Leo, he's a Leo rising, and he has his Pisces sun. So like all around for him, like a lot of people didn't understand him when before his Saturn return. So it's like, oh yeah, like nigga, what did you own? Like what you talking about? What you rapping in your music? But like I said, once he hit Cherry Bomb and got into his own like little flow of stuff, man is on top. And then releasing like him having his moon at 29 degrees in Scorpio in his fourth house. So that release of like, hey, coming to take your mask off about stuff. Like you accepted who you are and it connected with so many people. That Pisces aspect of the eighth house being played out. Yes. That is a successful Leo rising seeing take place right there. And then I don't know what his rising sign is, but Bad Bunny, like the album was
Like me Libra rising for some reason. I don't know why, but he
I can see that. I could definitely see that.
or Pisces. One of
That
those two very like mutual mutable people type of signs. I'm like he's one of those for sure.
yeah, it was just like it is so it's a inspiring, connecting album as well as like you can see him going through his Saturn return too, or like ending out his Saturn return. And that's something that I thoroughly enjoy is like seeing people's bodies of work that they have created after their Saturn return. Like Jid's Forever Story. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a forever story.
Forever Story. Like Adele's 30. Like it's so many albums that have that encapsulated like here's what I've been like navigating, here's what I've been putting into here, see it. Like this has been me. So that is something that I've greatly come to like. It's dope to see those observations, those little things take into place. So yeah, we've talked about a lot. Like we can definitely do this again. I love this. Like I hope I didn't like over
No,
talk you.
not at all. The conversation is interesting. I love interesting conversations.
So yeah, like thank you so much for coming on. This has been fun. Thank you for everybody who oh shit. Yeah. Shout out your stuff. What you
Oh,
got going on, girl?
number
Like it's
one,
been a year with
follow me. You can follow me on here, online Aquarius. Well, shit, TikTok's gone for for now, but it's online Aquarius there too for when we come back. I'm trying to have a new podcast episode out by the end of March, so that'll be coming back soon. I have to find new software because Spotify bought up the one that I use, turned it into some bullshit. But that'll definitely be back. Definitely have some astrology insights on there, and definitely look forward to speaking with Amina again. Yeah, that's it.
Yay! So yeah, we can do this again. This will be fun. I love this. Like just being able to talk to people about astrology and being able to see it applied. It's like, yeah, you can have words for days on a piece of paper, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like, how is it applied? Like, what does it make sense? How is it applied for somebody else? And somebody can see like, oh, okay, I heard this. Is that what you know? Cool. Bet reference for you. I got it. So yeah, we'll talk later. But all right, y'all. Y'all be easy. Y'all have a good rest of your day and happy Aquarius season. Bye,
Very
y'all.
season.